Extremely sad news for Sussex. King Charles sets the ultimate weapon to deal with Harry and Meghan. And maybe we won't be surprised by this attack because history has proven that this is one of the most reliable people of the monarch. I'm going to discuss it further with you in this video. I'm so happy and excited to see you here again on Kate Middleton and the Queen channel. All right, guys. So today, a royal source has suggested there's only one senior working royal who can put an end to Harry and Meghan's drama with the royal family once and for all. You're not going to be surprised to hear it's Princess Anne. She has been described as the answer to all the royal family's problems. According to this source, Princess Anne is going to write the letter to Parliament to ask them, beg them really, to remove Harry's titles and the princely title too, and his place in the line of succession, as well as any titles for his wife and his heirs. Only Anne could write this convincing letter, and then Anne can be the head of the undertaking to legally challenge their new website name and the contents, and also the weird surname change. I do believe the Princess Royal would certainly sort out the situation, and I'm sure she's had a lot of input on all this to date. So maybe behind the scenes, there's a lot more going on than we can see, in spite of what all these experts are claiming. Princess Anne is one of the most down to earth, nice, compassionate, kind people you're ever going to come across. And not only that, but she's incredibly caring and she cares about the rules. I mean, she really follows in her mother's footsteps on that one. She believes in the traditions of the monarchy, she believes in the protocol. From the very start of this whole Harkle debacle, I have said that if Meghan had been informed that Princess Anne was going to be helping her from the very beginning, from day one of their engagement, I don't think that marriage ever would have happened. Either that or Harry and Meghan would have run away before wasting so much money on that spectacle wedding. You see, Anne cares so much about the preservation of the monarchy, just like her mother did. And she's governed more by her head than she is her heart. And the Sussex problem is nothing but emotional for William and Charles. They're just too close to Harry. They can't see things clearly. She is also removed from the direct barge of emotions. She can do what needs to be done. In the past, the Princess Royal has been called the firm's secret weapon thanks to her commitment and her devotion to the crown, and also her no nonsense attitude that people so appreciate. She really hurt Harry and Meghan when she directly attacked the statement of Harry and Meghan wanting to refresh the monarchy. The Princess Royal says, well, what's the point of reinventing the wheel? And I agree with her wholeheartedly. So I certainly concur that Princess Anne is the very best person to deal with Harry and Meghan and put them in their place. She has inherited all the best from both her mother and her father. So I do hope that the secret weapon is going to come in and do what needs to be done with Harry and Meghan once and for all. It's time for this whole facade to come to an end. And no, Harry's not going to be welcomed back to the royal fold. And no, Meghan Markle is never going to return to the UK. And the secret weapon, Camilla and William, are going to know how to stop all this. I can understand that maybe the king, as a father, wants his son Harry back in the family, but at the same time, he's got to realize Harry and Meghan cannot be trusted. And he cannot put the monarchy at risk by having Harry running around and telling all kinds of lies. So at this point, he needs to make a decision. And maybe he can just send his sister, Princess Anne, to tell them to put a stop to all their antics, to end the childish behavior, and go live the private, peaceful lives they claim they wanted. And if King Charles wants to somehow reconcile with the two of them, then he can do that on a private, personal level. Everything else should not be considered. Harry and Meghan have just caused too much damage. They've told too many lies. They have insulted too many people. The trust can no longer be rebuilt. The most expensive clothing, all kinds of fake hair, fake teeth, and that fake rictus grin certainly do not help matters. Charles is now the monarch. He's the head of the firm. Now, when they were growing up, Prince William and Prince Harry were treated equally as much as could possibly be. For example, the king sent Harry to Eton, even though he wasn't really Eton material. Now, Eton took him because of who he was, because of that title attached to his name. What has Harry, though, ever really accomplished on his own? Invictus, let's be real, was created by Philip, and it was given to Harry so that he would have something to keep him busy. And now Charles is not well. All the anxiety coming from Harry and Meghan are not going to help his recovery in the least. So Charles needs to do this, if not for the sake of the monarchy, but for his own health. Banish them for good. I mean, make Parliament rescind the Sussex titles immediately. See, the thing is, Meghan Markle does not want to see Charles healthy again. If she figures if she can push Charles out, then she's one step closer to being queen, which is her ultimate goal. And if not her, then one of her invisible children. Seriously, has Meghan Markle ever done something kind for anybody? I don't think so. Meghan just destroys everybody's lives she ever has contact with. Go ask Jessica Mulroney. That used to be Meghan's best friend. I mean, Meghan used her, abused her. And Meghan Markle, there's a good reason Jessica and Meghan are no longer friends. Apparently, Meghan was also awful to Jessica's three children. What is with Meghan Markle's weird bare leg obsession? It doesn't fit in the UK or in Canada, except in the middle of the summer. I guess bare legs just make it easier for her to open and close them, right? Wearing virginal white at the wedding, how inappropriate was that? The Queen's face, I mean, the look on her face told us all we need to know about that. What exactly is virginal about Meghan Markle? King Charles, the time is now. Banish them once and for all. I would just love if the two of them would go live their lives in the States or wherever they want to be and just leave the royal family alone. Leave all of us alone for that matter. But they're never going to give up their titles because they know that is the only thing they have going for them. Meghan is never going to allow those titles to go. I suspect that even if they end up divorcing, or rather when they end up divorcing, she's going to continue to do whatever she can to hang on to that title of Duchess. I mean, even if technically she's no longer a Duchess, she'll continue making people call her that. If you study Meghan's history, you can see that in an interview, she herself categorized herself as a fraud. She talked about how she lied and she schemed to get gigs. And remember, her Screen Actors Guild American Federation of Television and Radio Artists membership was absolutely made up. And so now she's been banned from that. She has a history of misleading people. And Meghan Markle is not about to stop using those skills and misleading and manipulating. After all, the only reason she is where she is today is because of her skills in manipulating people. Another big problem I have with Megan is that she tries to portray herself as this kind, compassionate person, and she can teach all of us how to be better people, teach all of us how we should act. But she won't even pick up the phone to check on her ailing older father, make peace with him once and for all. I have no respect for her. And Harry just seems to be under her spell. He doesn't know up from down anymore. But this argument about Meghan Markle becoming a princess doesn't mean a thing to any of us. She's not going to get anything, and she can call herself whatever she wants to. But once the entire world knows that the UK has ended their association with Britain, the Americans can just deal with the fallout, myself included. We know that Meghan and Harry are unimportant here, too. I'm not worried about what they're going to do here. There's no chance that Harry and Meghan are going to be able to salvage their reputations. They have already been proven to be a couple of liars. Their reputation is in the toilet. So they've got to find some new deals to try to support themselves. I mean, a few charities here and there, that's hardly any proof that they are trustworthy. William is also not the one who goes to the media and trashes Harry publicly. It's Harry who does that. He has trashed William, he's trashed Catherine countless times over the past few years. I mean, through his own books, through interviews, podcasts, leaks through Omid Scobie. Harry called William his arch nemesis, and he said that William's looks are fading because he's losing his hair. Harry, have you looked in the mirror, is what I want to ask. Harry also trashed William's marriage to Catherine and criticized his parenting. He acted like William and Catherine weren't really in love. I mean, again, has he looked in the mirror? At the end of the day, Harry and Meghan are desperate. They're just trying to make money. I mean, when Harry and Meghan said that William and King Charles are trapped, I couldn't help but laugh. Come on, Harry. It looks to me like you're the one who's trapped with that narcissistic witch you married. The royal family has also moved past all this drama that comes from Harry and Meghan. By continuing to ignore whatever kind of nonsense comes from California, they have shown that they don't consider the pair to be any bother. I think it's also safe to assume that Harry and Meghan are absolutely enraged by this attitude. They are so desperate for attention. They really are like a couple of toddlers who act up, who act horrible just to get you to notice.
You know, folks, I keep on thinking that this whole business with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle is going to calm down sooner rather than later. I keep on thinking to myself, surely nobody is this insane. Surely nobody is this delusional that they'll keep on with the same behavior that has gotten them in so much trouble over the past few years. But it looks like Harry and Meghan really are that stupid. They really are delusional. Instead of things calming down with the Sussexes, things are only getting crazier. And this latest stunt is simply beyond the pale. If King Charles does not do something decisive to put those two in their place, I don't know what is going to happen next. They are out of control. And it looks like the palace is getting fed up with Harry and Meghan's behavior. So, first, we have this article in The Telegraph. Prince Harry holds talks with First Nations chief over commitment to Canada's Indigenous people. Duke of Sussex offers to resume discussions next year as he prepares to launch Invictus Games winter tournament. I mean, even just the headline, when I read it, my jaw absolutely dropped. Who does he think he is? What does he think he's doing? I mean, Harry is acting like he is representing his father's government, but he's not. Harry and Meghan, let's remember, are just ordinary citizens at this point who just so happen to still hold on to Duke and Duchess titles. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And that's why, of course, people right now are saying that the UK government and the king have got to do something. I mean, they have got to strip Harry and Meghan of their titles. And it has got to happen now. I mean, it really already should have. The truth is, Harry and Meghan have proven that they are dangerous to the monarchy. They don't know their place. They simply don't care that they don't have any power. They're still going to walk around and pretend like they are on official business and they have the power to make decisions. The truth is, they don't. But many people don't know that. All right, so first, let's look at this article detailing what exactly Harry said to this First Nations chief. And then I'm going to share with you another article in the same newspaper. It came only 90 minutes later, and it basically blows Harry's claims completely out of the water. But anyway, according to India McTaggart, writing for The Telegraph, the Duke of Sussex has held talks with a First Nations chief about the Crown's historic commitment to Canada's Indigenous people, as the Duke tells of his hope that, quote, we can depart and return as friends. This is off topic, but I want to go ahead and apologize to you all if you can hear my little cat purring in the background. Ever since I came back from my trip with my family, she will not leave me alone. She will not let me come in here to record by myself. She's got to be right there by my side at all times. I'm sure those of you who have cats understand. But anyway, now, on with the news. So Harry, of course, was in Vancouver for an event to promote Invictus. And he said that he hoped to learn more about Canada's reconciliation process. He said, quote, our collective journey through truth and reconciliation is an important one for all of us. Funny that, isn't it? Harry talking about reconciliation. I mean, is Harry really on a journey through truth and reconciliation with his family? Is that what we're going to call it? And who even talks like that? I mean, Meghan's word salad habit has really rubbed off on Harry. He sounds just like her. A bunch of words, a bunch of buzzwords, but no real meaning. And it sounds like this chief Harry spoke to is believing that Harry has some kind of power. He told the Sunday Telegraph that, quote, while a lot of politicians say it, but they don't mean it, Prince Harry has offered to resume discussions next year. I mean, how inappropriate for Harry to make that kind of promise. This is a promise he has no right to make because it's not his responsibility. Harry no longer represents the monarchy. He no longer represents the UK. He is completely undermining his father's government by making such a promise. Now, in the past, this issue with Indigenous people of Canada is something that King Charles has addressed. According to this article in The Telegraph, in 2022, then Prince Charles said that he had been deeply moved by meeting the survivors of the residential school scandal. He said, quote, all leaders have shared with me the importance of advancing reconciliation in Canada. We all have a responsibility to listen, understand, and act in ways that foster relationships between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples in Canada. I know I've said it before, and I've got to say it again. What is wrong with Harry? I mean, sometimes his family probably actually could use his help, but no, he's never around when anybody really needs him. Instead, he's always offering to help when nobody has asked for his help. For example, the way that he flew to the UK, supposedly to be with his father after the cancer diagnosis. And I'm sure, really, it was just to try to get back on as a working royal. But luckily, of course, the palace told him, thanks but no thanks, Harry. I think we got it covered. When is Harry going to realize how absolutely useless he is? And actually, no, I shouldn't say useless. I mean, that's really an insult to useless people out there. Harry is worse than that. Harry's actually damaging. His presence is not only not going to help, it's going to harm whatever is happening and whoever is involved. So I guess the next Invictus Games is going to be hosted on First Nations land in British Columbia. And this chief said, especially with the crown with the reconciliation, it means a lot. The very first time I met Prince Harry, he said, I want to learn more about the reconciliation. A lot of politicians will say it, but they don't mean it. And now I have the opportunity in the next year to have those discussions with Prince Harry. I don't know about you all, but I just cannot overcome my feelings of shock about this. I mean, who does Harry think he is? Is he really this delusional? I guess so. This, though, is a bold move even for him. I mean, we've noticed over the years, ever since he and Meghan quit their positions as working royals, they do still love to do these pseudo-royal tours, but this is the first I've heard of Harry actually making some kind of promises that he has no right to make. Judging by the way this chief is speaking, I don't think he understands that Harry does not represent the royals anymore. I believe he's thinking that Harry actually can make a difference in this reconciliation process, but he can't. So really, it's not only his family he's sticking it to by doing this, he's also disrespecting the First Nations people. So according to this piece in the Telegraph, reconciliation is the ongoing process of establishing and maintaining respectful relationships with Indigenous peoples. But if you ask me, lying to their faces is not respectful. This is not Harry trying to be helpful. This is not him innocently just wanting to do what's right. This is Harry being incredibly foolish and also dangerously irresponsible. So in Canada, at a banquet, Harry told the guests, "These games have been so warmly welcomed by our 4 host First Nations, who have opened their arms and land to each of us, not only tonight, but in the lead up to and during the games next year. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you. Your generosity is cherished. Our collective journey through truth and reconciliation is an important one for all of us. And as we come here to learn, my hope is we can depart and return as friends." I guess he just can't help himself, can he? I mean, Harry cannot get over the fact that he and Meghan willingly left their positions as working royals to become a couple of nobodies. He can't let go. He cannot let go of his status. And this is why we're going to continue to see this behavior from him time and time again until finally the titles are taken away, or better yet, just exile him. And take away that prince title too while you're at it. He certainly doesn't deserve it. He has no respect for the monarchy, no respect for his home country, no respect for anybody, including himself, I would argue. So the First Nations chief who Harry made all these promises to was named Chief Sparrow, and he said, "It's just stuff like that we can talk about with Harry because it was the commitment that the crown was going to look after us. A lot of those commitments fell by the wayside, but now there's an opportunity as we grow and move forward that we can still correct the wrongdoings and put them behind us." Well, I mean, again, clearly Harry did not do a very good job of making it clear that he and Meghan were only representing themselves as private citizens, that they were not representing the crown in any official capacity. If they had made that clear, I don't believe that Chief Sparrow would say something like that. Harry is in no positions to make any promises about what the crown will or will not do. And that's not to say that the crown shouldn't help these people with reconciliation. That's not to say that King Charles doesn't have an interest in them. Of course he does. But still, nobody asked Harry to do this. Nobody ever would ask Harry to do this because, again, he's not a working royal. And it is perfectly acceptable for Harry to connect Invictus to this reconciliation with Indigenous communities. So when he first announced that the games were going to be held in partnership with the First Nations, Harry promised that it would be, quote, "in the spirit of truth and reconciliation with Indigenous communities." Now, I don't see a big problem with that. I mean, I don't know. I think it's a little bit risky just because, again, this reconciliation, what does he mean by that? Does he mean reconciliation between the crown and the Indigenous people? Again, he doesn't have any right to say that. But if he's just talking about it in general, that he's sensitive to their plight, he wants to respect them, he wants to support them in any way he can, all right, fine. I don't see a big problem with that. But that's not what Harry is saying. Harry has led this Chief Sparrow to believe that he somehow has the power to have discussions about reconciliation in the next year. And so that brings us to the second article that was published only 90 minutes after the first one. So with this one, we've got Hannah Furness writing, "No working royal role for Prince Harry as Palace stands firm. Palace sources say there is no way back for the Duke of Sussex to step in and help his family carry out duties while King receives treatment." It doesn't take a genius to figure out exactly what has happened here. I mean, so this article comes out in the Telegraph, and the palace sees it, and then as quickly as they possibly can, they got to put out their own article, making it clear that Harry didn't know what he was talking about. Honestly, you know who Harry reminds me of. So did you all ever see that old movie called Office Space? It's a comedy about these guys who work in IT. So there's one character on there, Milton, and he's a funny character altogether. But anyway, they don't want Milton working there anymore. He has an obsession with a stapler. And anyway, they don't want to fire him, or they do fire him, but they don't want to have the conversation about it. So instead, they just stop paying him, and they move him to the basement. But the poor guy doesn't get it. He doesn't seem to understand that he's actually been fired. And so he continues to show up to work every single day and do, well, who knows what, not much of anything. But honestly, that reminds me of Harry. Harry really is like some completely insane, unhinged ex-employee who just can't give it up, cannot stop showing up to work, even though he's not needed. And perhaps even worse than being not needed, he's not wanted. So in this piece, we are reminded about how recently Harry made it clear that he is perfectly willing to accept some royal duties while his father is ill, and Meghan too. I mean, they could really be like, I don't know, half in, half out royals. Dream come true for the Sussexes. But according to palace sources, it ain't gonna happen. So you'll remember that source who allegedly is friends with Harry, claiming that Harry had told them that he would be willing to step back into a royal role. And an insider claimed that it made perfect sense on a practical level. I mean, perfect sense to who? Harry and Meghan? Nobody else. According to sources, the 12-minute or so meeting that Harry had with his father did not involve any kinds of discussions about Harry returning to any type of royal role. According to Hannah Furness in The Telegraph, quote, "It is understood that the matter was not discussed in that meeting, at which the Queen was present, with no formal conversations taking place about the Duke's return. Palace sources have emphasized that the King's illness will not change the terms of the Sandringham Summit Agreement, in which the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's exit from the working royal family was negotiated in detail." Well, of course nothing is going to change about that agreement. I mean, Harry and Meghan are out of their minds if they think that something's going to change just because they want it to. The rules were made very clear to them in that meeting. They were told what they were going to lose, what they were going to give up, and they agreed to it. And they were told that no, you can't just come back on whenever you want to. I'm sure that was also made very clear to them. But those idiots just believe they can change things willy-nilly to suit them. It's never going to work. I mean, again, this isn't even up to the king. Even if the king had a weak moment and agreed to, I don't know, let Harry and Meghan back in on some type of trial basis, Prince William is never going to stand for it. And I don't think the palace aides will either. And certainly not Queen Camilla. Indeed, the source says, quote, "Those terms were quite clear, and the king's illness hasn't altered that." And then another confirmed that the views of the late queen, the king, and the Prince of Wales, that a hybrid model of working royalty was not appropriate, quote, "remains the case." Now, Harry did an interview with Good Morning America this week, and he said that his own family is now based in California, but he went on to say, "I've got other trips planned that would take me through or back to the UK, so I'll stop and see my family as much as I can." I'm guessing the family wasn't too happy to hear that news. The thing is, at this point in time, Harry just wants to act like everything's okay, like nothing ever happened, like this rift was just all for nothing. But the royals are not seeing it that way, of course not. They're not going to be so quick to forgive, and I don't blame them. They shouldn't be. I mean, as far as we know, Harry still hasn't apologized, and I'm sure he hasn't actually, because I don't believe that he would privately apologize. I think he and Meghan, as always, would make it into this big public spectacle to get themselves some sweet, sweet PR. Now, those of you who regularly follow my channel, you know that I'm a big fan of forgiveness. I really do believe in it. In my personal life, I believe in forgiving people for all kinds of transgressions. And I think in the case of Prince Harry and his family, yes, forgiveness is appropriate, but again, he has to show remorse first. Harry has to show that he's not just going to do the same thing over and over again, but so far, there are no indications of that. If the royals were to let Harry and Meghan back in without any kind of formal apology, without any kind of promises to change their behavior, we would see exactly the same thing. They'd be all wired up, they'd be eavesdropping, Meghan would be sneaking around, taking pictures of places she shouldn't, and then they would sell all that information to the highest bidder. So until the royal family can feel safe that they're not going to be betrayed, of course, they're not going to let Harry back in. And furthermore, if Harry continues to go around disrespecting his family, disrespecting the monarchy as a whole, by pretending that he and Meghan are somehow representing the crown, he's going to find his relationship with his family is going to get a whole lot worse. And I predict that sooner or later, those titles are finally going to be stripped. I think, if nothing else, when William becomes king, which sadly, I'm not going to really go there, but sadly it may happen sooner than we expected, Harry and Meghan are done, so they better be very careful with their next move. Now, I don't believe there's any way back for Harry as a working royal, but if he wants to hold on to that duke title, if he wants to hold on to that prince title, and if he wants any hope whatsoever of having a relationship with his family in the future, he has got to stop this. He's got to remember that he and Meghan willingly gave up their positions as working royals. They do not represent anybody but themselves. All right, my friends, and now for a little discussion time. So today we're going to be talking about the responses that you left to the video. What the hell are they smoking? Harry's plot to return to royal role while King is ill. In this video, we were talking, well, basically about the same thing we're talking about in this video, that Harry is so delusional, so completely out of his mind, that he believes there is now room for him as a working royal in his family. Now, in this video, I presented the theory that perhaps Harry's brain is just so destroyed from all the drug use, and Meghan's too. Let's see what you all had to say. First comment comes to us from Anna Paula Canada. Anna Paula writes, I almost can't believe Harry's audacity. Harry is clearly not concerned about the king's health. Harry is more concerned with his sense of entitlement and shamelessly sticking himself like a limp to the British monarchy. Harry should be ashamed. Once again, he shows his true colors. It is sad, isn't it? I was hopeful. I was really rooting for him, actually. I thought, all right, here is a perfect opportunity for Harry to show that he does feel remorse, that he realizes that he was wrong, that he and Meghan were wrong time and time again, really, over the past few years. But no, instead the two of them are digging their heels in and continuing to do more of the same. I think you're right. I mean, Harry is showing us who he really is. And he's not a very nice person, is he? Next up, a comment from a user called Amelia. Amelia writes, on my side of the world, lemonada is used for something not serious, full of gossip, lightweight, not to be trusted. Often we call someone lemonada who is either very naive, not real, or being a joke. Amelia, thank you so much for this comment. This is wonderful. I don't know where you live in the world, but honestly, I think this description is perfect for Meghan Markle. She has finally found the company she is meant to be with. We've got some responses too. User IQ writes, interesting. Seems like the perfect place for their latest attempt at their self-promotion. Doomed to fail? We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, I mean, we'll wait and see, but I don't believe we're going to see success this time around. Don Porritt writes, like it, Harry and Meghan like lemonade, all gas and no fizz. You're right about that too. Linda writes, all pith and pips and too much sugars. I like that comment too. And then Sue writes, that's a perfect fit for her. Well, it sounds like we are all in agreement that finally Meghan has found a company that she has business being involved with. Shallow, superficial, meaningless. Well, that's Meghan Markle to a T. Next up, let's see what user Cassandra has to say. Cassandra writes, it's sickening how this one and Medusa look so upbeat and excited since King Charles and Catherine, Princess of Wales, have been sick. They have proven that they don't want privacy and that they are bad parents. Harry allowed Medusa to give up everything and put himself in a position to lose his title. And when they realized that they needed their titles and Hollywood rejected them, they had to get back with the royal family. They wanted to be regular people. Now they're begging for work and running out of cash to live on. Well, that's what regular people do. No one has forgotten what Medusa and this one said about the people in the UK, the entire royal family, Queen Elizabeth especially, women, blacks, children, the Canadians, Americans. Well, is that everyone? Don't forget the South Africans. They need their privacy back, Cassandra goes on to write. Using their titles looks bad on the royal family, which is why they need to be stripped of the titles. Watch them closely. They're already in desperation mode and sliding into the danger zone. Keeping the royal family in my prayers. They're going to be just fine. God bless the royal family. I love this comment, Cassandra. I mean, you're right. They are spiraling out of control right now. As they're becoming increasingly desperate, we are seeing scarier behavior from them, if such a thing is possible. So I agree with you. The royal family has to do whatever they need to do to keep their distance from Harry and Meghan. Those two are dangerous. And finally, I would like to share this comment from Elizabeth McLaughlin. Elizabeth writes, if he becomes a U.S. citizen, he'll have to give up his titles. Come to that. How come Meghan is allowed to keep her title? How come the invisible children now have prince and princess titles? Aren't they American citizens? Doesn't make any sense. If anyone knows, can they respond to this, please? All right, Elizabeth, I'm going to try my best. So if Harry were to become a U.S. citizen, of course he would need to give up the titles, but he never will. And how come Meghan is allowed to keep her title? Well, I guess just because she is technically attached to Harry. I don't think, well, apparently though, if they get divorced, she will still have a right to refer to herself as the Duchess of Sussex as long as she doesn't get married. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen when they finally split. I mean, honestly, I thought it was going to happen soon. But now, with all this new stuff we've been seeing from the two of them, it looks like Meghan still has him wrapped all around her little finger. Now, as for the children, okay, so Elizabeth was born in the U.S., so of course she is an American citizen by birth. As for Archofficial, well, I would assume that he has dual citizenship. I mean, he was born in Britain, so I'm sure that he is a British citizen, and maybe they got him the American citizenship when they moved, or maybe at birth, because since his mother is American, well, his pretend mother is American, of course he would be entitled to American citizenship. And as for the invisible girl, I mean, who knows? Honestly, I know that we saw that birth certificate recently, which makes it look like she is a real person, but I'm still thinking there is something very strange about her. There's something that doesn't add up. I don't believe that she came from Meghan's body. I don't believe Archie did either. But as for her citizenship, honestly, I can't even guess. I have so many other questions about her, like number one, does she even live with them? So I think I'm going to save that citizenship question for later. After Prince Philip's funeral at Windsor Castle back in April of 2021, King Charles was standing there between his feuding sons in the garden of Frogmore House, and he uttered a heartfelt plea. He said, "Please, boys, don't make my final years a misery." And the truth is, we only know about that very personal event thanks to the pages of Harry's autobiography, Spare. That could explain, though, why 3 years on, absolutely nothing has changed. Perhaps it really was just the king's recent cancer diagnosis that encouraged Harry to hop on a plane for an 11,000-mile round-trip journey to see his father face to face for the very first time in 17 months, ever since the late Queen's funeral. But Harry's older brother, Prince William, has made it clear that he didn't have any plans to see Harry during that short 24-hour visit to the UK. Pain, disappointment, betrayal. These have all been factors on both sides of the new War of the Windsors. But now that their father is being treated for an unnamed kind of cancer, perhaps now the responsibility falls upon both William and Harry to find a truce. In private, courtiers are speculating that William's going to have to swallow his pride for the sake of both his family and the country. And for sure, King Charles would love to see his darling boys make peace. Is brotherly reconciliation, and certainly less forgiveness, even possible at this point in time? I mean, William is famous for being pretty stubborn, and he's got a temper on him. Harry, meanwhile, takes offense at the drop of a hat and is overly defensive. Harry's memoir contained so many petty insults and a lot of self-pity too, as he was trying to distance himself from his destiny as a spare to William, the heir. He publicly accused William of being his arch-nemesis. He talked about how he felt terrified when William shouted at him at a family meeting. And he also revealed details of their fight, the broken dog bowl, the broken necklace. Watching Harry seem to be obsessed with destroying his older brother has been absolutely heartbreaking. I mean, Harry left the UK with Meghan Markle, and supposedly Archie too, and supposedly it was because they wanted to turn over a new leaf. But instead, Harry has just aired the family's dirty laundry time and time again, with a cavalier disregard for anything but the money. So after all Harry's revelations and also the attacks on William's beautiful wife Catherine by both Harry and Meghan, is there any way that William could trust Harry again? Can he find it in his heart to forgive him? Now, Catherine used to be the peacemaker, but, I mean, she's been attacked by Harry and Meghan too many times, and right now she is recuperating from major abdominal surgery, so I understand she's probably not going to be the peacemaker this time around. For William, it is the way they went after Catherine, like when Harry claimed that royal men have to marry someone who would fit the mold, as opposed to someone they really love. That is what has caused the most pain, and I don't believe Harry's going to be forgiven for those statements anytime soon. There was an old friend who was questioned about the status of William's relationship with Harry, and their answer was he absolutely effing hates him. And we understand why. I mean, people in William's circle don't blame him one bit. Betrayal is the big reason. Harry sold his family out to the media for millions of dollars, and William can't forgive that breach of trust. That's according to the friend. William's determination to have nothing to do with Harry stands in contrast to King Charles's determination to try and make peace with Harry. So that meeting in London without Queen Camilla, who has her own reasons to never get close to Harry again, between Charles and Harry, was certainly the first step in reconciliation, and apparently both men found the meeting to be very therapeutic. What we don't know, though, is what King Charles thought of Harry sharing details of their meeting with the whole wide world. I'm talking about the fact that just days after their visit, Harry talked to ABC's Good Morning America about the meeting. I mean, certainly by now, Harry has to be aware of how his previous indiscretions have caused his family to feel very upset. But he continues no matter what. The truth is, William and Harry are on divergent paths. They no longer share the same vision. They don't share the same values. They don't even live in the same country anymore. No one, though, should be fooled by this sudden wish for reconciliation. Last year, Harry and Meghan claimed that 2024 was the year of reconciliation, and it was also the year that the invisible children would finally enter public life. Well, we got to keep in mind that Tom Bower informed us that every step the LA pair takes is planned and plotted meticulously with an end goal. And now, here we are, February 2024. I mean, have they started with a reconciliation plan yet? Is this what that meeting was about? What about the fact that they've changed the last name of the children to Sussex, and the children have been included on their new website with those Prince and Princess titles? And we've learned that Invictus Games are holding a 10-year service at St. Paul's in London in May, and that Harry reportedly is in high-level talks with the British government because he wants Meghan and the kids to be there too. And Harry also wants Britain to donate over £5 million to a future UK Invictus Games. So I guess this certainly was one of those carefully planned, meticulously plotted schemes we heard about. So they want to arrive in the UK with top IPP for the whole family and the entourage too. A whole cavalcade of cars and outriders. And they're going to insist that the Netflix camera crew has to follow them around because remember, they can't really do anything without Netflix cameras following them around. As they arrive at St. Paul's with the invisible children and the cameras following, the whole city of London will be annoyed. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Windsor Castle is put at their disposal with the cameras in tow. Oh, can you imagine the jewelry, the ill-fitting designer outfits? It's going to be one of Harry and Meghan's biggest paydays ever. Can you imagine the scene? I mean, these two, who claim to despise the Brits and the monarchy too, are in the middle of the city, lording over the very country they consider to be racist, and compare the monarchy to a medieval theme night. This is their end game, sticking those middle fingers right up to the British and the royal family too. And all of this, let's not forget, friends, has been carefully planned and plotted. In other news, in another update, a man by the name of Graham Smith, who claims to be the CEO of the anti-monarchy group Republic, announced his new book, Abolish the Monarchy, Why We Should and How We Will, is going to be out. Now, he's claiming to deal with all the common arguments for Britain becoming a republic, including how we get there and what the alternative will be. Okay, a very interesting DIY book, it sounds like to me, a recipe to abolish the monarchy. So supposedly he's going to be releasing this book in paperback on the 9th of May or on June 1st. If you ask me, we shouldn't take this book very seriously. I'm pretty sure that most Brits are not going to give it a second thought. And I'm not going to be reading it. I mean, I think the monarchy is a real asset to Britain and the Commonwealth too. And I don't need to go into all the reasons why. I think the reasons are pretty obvious. What I find obnoxious, though, about this book is that it is certainly bait for people who are ready to become rebels against the establishment. And what I find a bit problematic is that Harry and Meghan have, if you ask me, contributed to opening the doors to facilitate exactly this. Certainly, there will always be people who don't like the status quo, who are ready to complain, ready to take action. And I'm worried that Harry is the one who provoked some of these people into action. After all, Harry was a member of the senior royals, and just let's think about the things that he said. What Harry and Meghan have done just doesn't make a bit of sense to me. I mean, if Harry were not happy with Britain, if he were unhappy with his family, then okay, fine, Harry, go. Leave all those negative people who are bringing you down. But Harry should never have tried to destroy his family and everything they represent. In the beginning, Harry seemed to be more than happy with his family, his friends, his country, even with his new stepmother, Camilla. Now, I understand when Harry was a young man, he had his problems. He would go out drinking. He was a wild boy, but his actions were tolerable to his family and the public. Now, of course, they covered up some of his misbehavior, but all in all, his antics were a bit cheeky, a bit amusing to both the public and his family, not all that serious. Sure, Harry got into trouble, but people knew he was just sowing his wild oats. Nobody faulted him for it. And then he met Meghan Markle, who was certainly no young virgin. Instead, she was a woman of the world, and she was on the hunt for a very comfortable lifestyle for herself. Well, when she met Harry, she saw potential to get everything she wanted and more. And Harry, well, it wasn't very difficult to convince him. Quickly, he became wrapped around her little finger. Meghan became his guru, his mommy. She was his ticket to a more authentic life. And as he said on Oprah, he was unaware of what his life within the royal family represented until Meghan pointed it out to him. Essentially, she helped him to realize that he was trapped in misery, just like his brother and even his father had been. All right, again, whatever, Harry, fine. If you really feel like that, okay, go. Now you can go and find the real meaning of life, find what it is that you want to be. But don't include your family in all your problems. So Harry and Meghan escaped the maddening crowd and headed to freedom. And during this transitional process, books and TV interviews were essential. I mean, they had to let the whole world know about their new awakening. So in order to make this happen, well, they needed to tell all of us where the flaws were, the flaws of the royal family and even Britain as a whole, because now they were freed from this toxic environment that was creating so much pain for them. They experienced quite the catharsis. And now, after all this nonsense, have they succeeded in finding their heaven on earth? Well, it doesn't look like it to me. Now it seems like the new improved Harry is demanding to come back to this toxic environment. He now wants to reconcile with his family. He wants to be the peacemaker. And now, all of a sudden, I guess, the royal family isn't toxic after all. Now he loves them. He wants to spend time with them. He wants to be there for them during this crisis because that's when a family should be together. Really, Harry? Do you hear yourself? Teenagers are known for being rebellious. Now, parents represent a barrier to their freedom. But eventually, they become adults. They grow up. They have to take on additional responsibilities, and they realize that life is difficult. And then, like the prodigal son in the Bible, they return to their families and they ask for forgiveness. But the biblical father didn't suffer a giant loss because he had enough sense to forgive and forget. But the royal family have been damaged by Harry in a way that the biblical prodigal son didn't do. I mean, they have been ridiculed on the public forum. I don't think the TV interviews and the books are forgivable at this point in time. Let's think about what they do in science. So a scientific model is thrown out if there can be a better and more effective and efficient model produced, as long as this new improved model can be proven that it's valuable. So all right, let's try to apply this line of thinking to a social structure. Well, the monarchy certainly has withstood the test of time. People are loyal. There is a need for the monarchy and everything it represents. And as a result, there is simply no reason to take a big risk and damage this pillar of society. Harry and Meghan have shown us that rebellion against a traditional establishment that is respected is not going to be enough to destroy this. Now, maybe they learned their lesson, but if they did, it's way too late. And perhaps Graham Smith should be aware that his book might not really be appreciated. It might not be all that successful when there are still so many people who are loyal to the monarchy and the royal family. As long as there is a need, as long as there is a love and appreciation of the monarchy by the citizens of the UK and the Commonwealth, then people are going to do whatever they need to protect it. Because for them, it represents something bigger than themselves. It represents an important part of their lives. When we look at these US tabloid magazines, it becomes very clear that there are two distinct narratives when it comes to the royal family and Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. On the one hand, we have what I believe to be the more accurate reporting. Now, these are the stories that portray Harry and Meghan and their behavior in an accurate light. They don't just blow a lot of smoke up their rear ends. And as for their treatment of the royal family, I mean, sometimes we have tabloids that are unnecessarily harsh towards them, tabloids that have clearly bought Harry and Meghan's story hook, line, and sinker. And then occasionally, like we had with In Touch magazine, we get stories that are more accurate about the royal family. And sometimes I would even argue they can be more accurate than what we see in British tabloids, considering the fact that, especially at a time like this with the King's illness, we might not be getting the full story from the UK tabloids. And I say that because, well, just think about it. They have to be careful to maintain a good relationship with the royal family if they want to continue to get any kind of information. So, for example, even if they already know what type of cancer the king has been diagnosed with, they're very unlikely to reveal that in any of their publications until the palace decides they want that information out there. But in the US, they don't have the same kind of rules. They can basically say whatever they want to say. Now, often we see stuff in these US tabloids that is obviously untrue, like that Harry and Meghan are making some kind of big deals behind the scenes, and it's going to be the renaissance of Meghan Markle. Now, obviously, these stories are simply puff pieces coming from Harry and Meghan's PR. But then sometimes we get palace sources who are willing to speak with these US tabloids, and sometimes we can believe the information contained in the pages. So today we're going to be looking at the cover story on Us Weekly. Now, this one, I don't know, I'm a little bit skeptical about. On the cover, we see William and Harry making peace. King Charles's cancer diagnosis is slowly bringing his feuding sons back together. Why the ball is in William's court, and how Princess Kate and Meghan Markle feel about their rift. Now, as always, it's important to look at everything with a critical eye. We can't just accept anything at face value, and I don't believe for 1 second that the ball is in William's court. I mean, again, I keep on saying this. I know I sound like a broken record. But in my opinion, the ball is more in Harry's court. He has got to apologize. He has got to make some real promises to his family that he's going to change, that he understands why what he did in the past is wrong, and that he's going to be loyal. We're not going to see these acts of betrayal from him and Meghan anymore. And another thing is, I think it's important for Harry and Meghan to no longer be together if he expects to reestablish a relationship with his family. But anyway, just for the sake of being informed, let's see what they're claiming in the pages of Us Weekly. So when we open it up to the actual article, we see a photo of the two couples together. And this photo is from the last time that the two couples were seen together after the late Queen passed away. It really has been that long since the two couples have gotten together. The relationship between the two brothers really at this point in time could not be worse. And as for Meghan and Catherine, well, I mean, Meghan is obsessed with Catherine. Catherine clearly doesn't care about her. She's moved on. She's not going to worry herself with somebody so insignificant like Meghan Markle. But anyway, according to this piece, many of those close to the couples would love to see them make up. That's coming from some source. Well, it is interesting because we've heard from other sources who actually are close to the brothers, that William is not interested in forgiving Harry, that he hates him now, according to one source. So again, we got to take this information with a big grain of salt. Most likely, the information in this piece came directly from Team Sussex, which means we can't believe a word of it. But anyway, let's sift through and see if we can find any kernel of truth. So as we know, Harry showed up in the UK on February 6th, supposedly to visit his ailing father. This was right after King Charles's cancer diagnosis was announced. Now, according to reports, King Charles had personally called Harry. So Harry certainly did not learn about his father's diagnosis through the media. Now, this is something Harry has complained about in the past. As you'll remember, Harry pitched an absolute fit, claiming that he didn't learn about his grandmother's passing before the media did. So at least King Charles understood this time around, don't give that whiner anything to complain about. Harry cannot complain that he didn't find out directly from his father because he certainly did. So anyway, this little trip that Harry took to the UK. Now, reportedly, Harry packed 3 suitcases, or maybe it was 2. Harry was planning on staying in the UK long term. According to some reports, he was hoping that he was going to be able to join his father at Sandringham, but apparently the aides were the ones who blocked him. They were worried they wouldn't be able to get rid of Harry. So that's what that little visit was all about, and that's the reason that it only lasted 12 minutes. So bravo aides for realizing that it was only going to cause more stress to the king if Harry was there in his ear telling him that he wants to come back as a working royal. And I know that we're getting reports already from Team Sussex claiming that's not what this visit was about, that Harry didn't ask that. I mean, come on, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that's exactly what that visit was about. Harry and Meghan are running out of money, and we've heard from a friend of Harry's that he'd be perfectly willing to help out. I mean, he's desperate. But anyway, according to this source who spoke with Us Weekly, Harry was focused on catching up and spending quality time together, adding that the visit between father and son was, quote, amicable and warm. And then a second source claims Charles was extremely touched by Harry's gesture. Well, my friends, it looks like we have found ourselves back in the Harkle zone. I mean, come on. Charles was touched by Harry's gesture to try to get back in the royal fold after he has been a failure in America. Why would Charles be touched by such a thing? Charles is no fool. He's not gonna believe that Harry's there just to show his support, when there is every indication that this was a selfishly inspired visit, like everything Harry does. Harry, I think he's a little bit better than Meghan Markle. Meghan is a narcissist. She's incapable of feeling any compassion or empathy for anybody. Harry, on the other hand, I think he can. I just think he is so emotionally immature, and especially in the relationships that he has with his family members. Harry is used to being the one taken care of. Harry is incredibly entitled. He's always thinking about what other people can do for him. Harry is not thinking about what he can do for his family right now. He's thinking about how to get more money from the family. All right, so then on the next page of this piece, we read, quote, members of the royal inner circle are hopeful Harry and Charles's meetup marks a first step towards a reconciliation between father and son and the family at large. I'm already going to call BS on this whole piece. Who are they referring to talking about the royal inner circle? There is nobody who wants to accept Harry back. Not the aides at the palace, not the rest of the working royals. Nobody. After the way Harry has betrayed his family time and time again, it's not just one instance. Why would anybody welcome him back? I think on a personal level, I'm sure people in the family would like to see Harry come to his senses and actually behave for once in his life. But in the absence of that, I don't think anybody's going to be too bothered. They've got their own lives to focus on. At this point in time, I think Harry is like a mosquito. He's buzzing in their ears. He's really annoying. But at the end of the day, he's powerless, so he can be swatted away. So according to the first source who spoke with Us Weekly, the fact that Catherine is recuperating from an abdominal surgery, quote, may just be the catalyst for a truce. The source said, they can use this as a starting point. The consensus is that life is too short, and there's hope this will lead to repairing the rift. Well, life is too short. I would say, though, life is too short to allow a couple of traitors to damage the family. And what is wrong with Harry and Meghan thinking somehow this is going to make them look good in the eyes of the public, trying to get back in the family at a time when the King and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, have been ill? This doesn't make them look good. It makes them look like a couple of vultures. So according to this piece, in spite of everything that has happened, Charles is still really wanting to make up with Harry. Quote, despite the depths of the rift, Harry and Charles have been slowly but surely reconnecting in recent months. A third source tells us Charles has been, quote, eager to make up with Harry for a while. And the second source says their recent reunion was an emotional one. Quote, Harry jumped on the first plane possible, shares the source. Meghan was in total agreement that Harry had to be there. He got to tell his father how much he loves him and get a fuller account of what Charles is facing. First of all, I do not doubt for 1 second that Charles has a lot of love in his heart for Harry. And I also believe that in his own sick, twisted way, Harry believes that he loves his father. He has said that multiple times in interviews. I do believe that on some level, Harry wants to have a relationship with his father. But the problem is, Harry is so dang selfish, everything has to be on his terms. He's not able to just show up and offer support for his father. Instead, he had to make even that visit all about him, trying to get back in as a working royal. And I don't believe for 1 second that Meghan Markle was very supportive of this visit. I mean, Meghan has done everything she can to alienate Harry from his family, from his homeland. I don't believe that all of a sudden, since the king has been diagnosed with cancer, that Meghan now wants Harry to have a relationship with a family she so clearly despises. Oh, and then Us Weekly gives us another explanation as to why the visit was so short. Of course, they're not going to say it was because the palace aides made sure that it was short so that the king wouldn't get stressed out by Harry. Instead, they're claiming that it was short, quote, primarily due to the discomfort Harry feels in that environment. And the second source claims that it's tough for Harry to be away from Meghan and their 2 invisible children, Archie and Lilibet. I mean, come on, what a load of BS. It's tough for Harry to be away from Meghan. I do believe that because Meghan controls him completely. He doesn't know what to do with himself without her to tell him what to do. I mean, that's his mommy, remember? And what kind of discomfort is Harry feeling in that environment? This is Harry's home. This is where he grew up. And no, I don't believe for 1 second that Harry feels unsafe in the UK like he has said before in his bid to get free police protection. So moving on, oh my God, this article only gets worse. So according to this piece on Us Weekly, Meghan is the one who has really been pushing for reconciliation. Why do they even bother saying this stuff? So, quote, Meghan has contacted Kate and Charles. So moves are being made to reconcile. That's coming from the first source. And the second source claims Meghan is supportive of Harry in all of this, and she wishes the royals, Kate included, the very best. Oh, come on. Obviously, this source is Meghan Markle herself, probably source 1 and source 2. I would guess she just uses a slightly different voice, kind of like the Rachel at Hotmail emails. Now, I'm sure that Meghan Markle would be a huge fan of more royal money flowing into her bank account, but she's not going to try to make peace with Harry's family. Absolutely not. Even according to Meghan Markle's biggest cheerleader, Omid Scobie, Meghan never wants to set foot in the UK again. You know, it's stuff like this that really proves to me just how delusional and unhinged Meghan is. She puts this information out there in the media like we're going to believe it, even though it is so clearly completely made up. She lives in a fantasy world, and she believes that the rest of us live there too, I guess. Now, this next bit, I can only assume they included to try to make the piece sound more believable. According to the source, Kate is open to reconciling, though with Harry more so than Meghan. This is coming from a third source. She still has some hurt feelings over what Meghan did to her and Charlotte. There is work to do, but she's willing to move forward. Well, again, let's put on our critical thinking caps and try to figure out what's really going on here. Now, I do believe that Catherine would be open to reconciliation with Harry. They used to have such a loving relationship. I mean, they used to make each other giggle all the time when they would be out on royal engagements. Harry used to spend so much time with both William and Catherine. I mean, he said that Catherine was like the sister he never had. And I'm sure that on some level, Catherine misses that relationship. But Meghan Markle, absolutely not. Meghan has been a problem for Catherine since Meghan got together with Harry. And that's probably due to the fact that Meghan is so consumed with jealousy of Catherine. I think it all goes back to the fact that Meghan believes she settled when she got Harry. She really wanted William. Well, honey, William has never been interested in you. Why would he want this twice-divorced piece of American trash when he has a beautiful English rose by his side? But again, Meghan Markle's relationship with reality is tenuous at best, so in her mind, William just should have left Catherine for her. So according to the third source, Kate would be open to making nice if William wanted to, but she won't meddle. She has faith that the situation will resolve itself in time. And the source also said that Catherine really misses Harry. She always saw him as a brother figure. Now, this little bit, all right, maybe this is the kernel of truth we have been looking for. I do believe that Catherine is going to follow William's lead in this. I'm sure that you will remember it wasn't all that long ago that we were seeing all these reports that Catherine was the one pushing for a peace deal between the brothers. But then after Endgame came out and Catherine was named as one of the 2 members of the royal family who made some racist remark about Archofficial before he was even born, don't believe it, but whatever, that's what Scooby-Doo claimed, I think any chances of Catherine pushing for peace with Harry are gone. Even though Catherine is a compassionate, kind, forgiving individual, she's got her limits. We all do. Catherine is also a wife and mother. She has to look out for her family. And she can easily see that Harry and Meghan are a direct threat to not only William, but the children as well. They have said some really disturbing stuff. I mean, Meghan made that comment in the past that they were only one plane crash away from the throne. And then Harry more recently has said stuff about their children, like that he needs to teach them how to be the spare. What a horrible thought. Harry is the last person who should be teaching anybody about what it means to be the spare. He has made a complete mess of his life. He has no business guiding his niece and his nephews. And as for how William feels about Harry, well, it sounds like basically the same. According to the second source, quote, William loves Harry, but the past few years have been very difficult for him. And the sad reality is that it's impossible for him just to forget all those spiteful and vindictive attacks Harry made against him and the monarchy. So the first source says that Harry is not pushing for a reconciliation with his brother. Quote, he won't give up, but the ball is in William's court. But again, how exactly is the ball in William's court? Harry is the one who attacked the family. Harry is the one who wrote horrible things about both William and Catherine in Spare. The ball is not in William's court. Now, according to this piece, it's really Charles himself who is pushing more than anybody else for a reconciliation. So according to the first source, the doctors did indeed catch the cancer early. But even so, the second source claims it's Charles's greatest wish for the family to be on good terms again. Health and peace are his top priorities. Now, I can see how, for the royal family, this really is a tragic situation all around. But even if they would love to forgive Harry, they can't put themselves in this situation again where they're going to get screwed over again. Harry has made it clear that he feels no loyalty to his family. He only feels loyalty to Meghan Markle. So what's going to happen if she tells him to say something nasty about his family to the media, or write another book or make another docuseries? He's going to do it. The family knows they cannot trust Harry, so as much as I'm sure King Charles would love to see peace between his sons, he's got to understand at the same time that Harry cannot be let back in. Harry cannot be privy to any kind of information. Harry cannot be trusted, and that here is the bottom line. All right, folks, and now we've got a little time left over for discussion. Right now, we're going to be talking about the responses that you left to the video so desperate. Harry and Meghan caught again in lies and hypocrisy on Sussex.com. In this video, we were talking about Harry and Meghan's hilarious bios they have put up for themselves on their new website. I mean, nothing could be further from the truth, describing Meghan as this feminist and describing Harry as this accomplished humanitarian. Honestly, folks, why do they even bother with this stuff? It's ridiculous. But anyway, let's see what you had to say. The first comment we've got comes to us from Anna Paula. Anna writes, I confess that I no longer have the patience to listen to the Sharkles. Well, I never had. In recent times, it is possible to understand perfectly what they want or what they are trying to achieve. The late Queen was absolutely right when one day she said that Meghan was evil. The Sharkles need consequences. Above all, they need their titles to be at least placed on a conditional basis. Children's titles need the verification that everyone involved in the line of succession needs to have. Anything less than that should be a reason for investigation by all means. Why are Harry and Meghan protected from this? Why did all the previous births follow this norm? So please explain to us why the Harkles were exempt from doing this. Explain to us why some have to follow the norm and others don't have to do so. Unfortunately, this only shows that the rules in their descriptive application apply to some and not to others. Well, I suppose that equality of rights and opportunities, that is. It's not fair. This is something that's really bothering the people of the UK especially. It's not right for these children to be listed in the line of succession when we have no idea who their birth parents are or if they're even real. I mean, this is something that I truly hope William addresses when he is king, because it looks like Charles isn't going to, and it's gone on for way too long. It is so frustrating to watch as Harry and Meghan continue to face no consequences for their bad behavior, and basically it seems like they're just being rewarded for being a couple of liars, hypocrites, and traitors. And the next comment comes from Kate London. Kate writes, finally, even the American press is calling the Harkles out on their BS. I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. I remember getting into arguments with so many people even before the wedding. I said the royal family needs to shut this down pronto. Nothing good will happen with letting Meghan Markle into the monarchy. The truth is, I have a whole family full of narcissists, and I knew the entire relationship was going to be a disaster. Ain't my first rodeo. I could definitely see all the signs. To me, she wasn't particularly good at putting on a facade, i.e., she put herself on the cover of Vanity Fair when she was really just a royal girlfriend, not even an official fiancé at that point. But of course, I was called the ist words back then. It took 6 years for me to be proven right. Well, Kate, you certainly have been proven right now. I hope some of those people who said that you were making stuff up have come to admit that they were wrong and you were right. Probably not, though. People usually don't do that on the internet. We've got some replies, too. Sarah writes, also wearing a necklace with M and H initials before their union was announced. I heard she was really mad that the Vanity Fair article was headed Mad About Harry, taking the focus away from her. That headline was in the newspapers around the world when they introduced Harry. She was just another girlfriend, but she was pushing Harry to his limits to become engaged. Oh, absolutely. We know Meghan Markle was the real driving force behind that engagement. In fact, I believe the reports that Harry was trying to get away from her and she trapped him by claiming to be pregnant. And then we've got a reply from Kate. Kate writes, I didn't hear about the M&H necklace until later. I just thought it was strange that royal girlfriends are never supposed to talk to the press about their relationship. And this wasn't just admitting, yes, we are a couple. This was declaring it on the cover of Vanity Fair. I thought for sure Harry would dump her, because how could you ever marry somebody so indiscreet? I thought she was an actress just using Harry to get publicity. But then I knew for sure there was something seriously wrong when it came out. She ended her marriage to Trevor by just FedExing the rings to him. They had been together almost a decade, and she never had a conversation with him that she wanted to leave. You have to be seriously screwed up to do something so cold. Well, Meghan is seriously screwed up. We have other signs. And then Sarah responds, I think she was desperate by now, and it might have looked that Harry was about to dump her. I think she sent her rings back slightly before, as she was almost openly living with the Canadian chef, plus having a bit on the side with some hockey player. Both men were famous in their own right. She was after fame and fortune, as long as she didn't have to work. You're right, Sarah, and she thought that she hit the jackpot when she got Harry. Unfortunately for her, of course, Harry didn't have as much money as she thought he had. And now, since they have cut themselves off from the royal purse, Harry's expected to make his own money, which he clearly is incapable of doing. Okay, so former President Donald Trump has spoken to a source in the Conservative Political Action Conference in D.C., saying that he could deport Prince Harry if he's reelected. He told Daily Express US that the royal family had been too gracious to Harry after what he has done. He said, I wouldn't protect him. He betrayed the Queen. That's unforgivable. He would be expelled on his own if it was down to me. And these comments are coming after Harry showed up in court over whether he had lied on his immigration papers to the U.S. about his history of drug use. Now, he confessed that in his book Spare, and a prerequisite for applying for an American visa is answering honestly all questions. And one of the questions is this: have you ever used narcotics? Now, it doesn't say if you've been convicted of using them. It just asks, have you used them? And Harry's answer was no. But in his fictional book Spare, and in so many interviews too, he admitted to using a wide variety of drugs, which is why his visa has to be taken away. But unfortunately, it's not going to be, because Harry and Meghan have supported Biden in the past, and Biden has told Homeland Security to defend his expulsion. According to some Americans, Biden has a real reputation for disobeying U.S. courts, including the Supreme Court. Recent activity would be the decision to not allow paying off student loans. It was reported just the other day that he was bragging about forgiving even more debt. The truth is, many Americans are saying they should not be forced to pay for anybody's education that they didn't receive, just so that Biden can try and get the student vote. Biden has also earned himself a reputation for refusing requests from Congress for information on various issues from his administration. So some people are saying that it's Biden who believes himself to be above the law, one law for the Democrats and another for the rest of us, which is why America is so broken right now, and that's why Trump is doing so well in the polls. In other news, another thing I'm interested in is what Harry said about how illness brings families together. So does that apply to all families except Meghan's? What about her broken relationship with her father? He's not in good health. And I don't remember Meghan flying on a private jet to go see him. Remember, Meghan has claimed that she stopped talking to her father after he supposedly leaked offensive information about her to the media. But Harry, after so blatantly publishing some very offensive and untrue information about his family, both in film and book form, now he believes his family should just forget all of that and welcome him back with open arms. Obviously, Meghan does not really share Harry's opinions on illness bringing family together. While Harry flew across the Atlantic to visit his father, Meghan cannot even be bothered to drive a few hours to go visit her ailing father. Really makes me wonder if that would be the case if Thomas Markle had a title and a lot of money. Maybe he needs to have a little talk with her. The royal family has taken a similar approach about Harry and Meghan's offensive conversations, but not totally isolating him and his family, like Meghan has chosen to do with her family. So how about that, Harry? What Harry says about family is all just a bunch of empty talk anyway. Actions speak louder than words. Harry has repeatedly threatened his family with his exaggerations, his lies in interviews and books, so he shouldn't be a bit surprised when they cannot trust him, when they don't welcome him back into the fold. The best thing for Harry would be for him to live his life away from his family, because at this point in time he cannot be trusted. They view him as a wolf in sheep's clothing because, well, that's what he is. It's going to take a very long time for this wound to heal, and it may never. What he has done to his grandparents, what he did to his immediate family members, is unforgivable. Even if Harry somehow is forgiven by his family, they're never going to forget everything he did. It's obvious, too, that the only reason Harry hopped on a plane so quickly to see his father was because he wanted to secure his inheritance and also get some free publicity. If he were really genuine and just wanting to visit his father, he would not have announced this visit to the entire world. He just would have gone. Why didn't he jump in the car with Meghan Markle to go visit her father, Thomas Markle? He only lives about a 4-hour drive from Montecito, and he had a severe stroke, but they couldn't be bothered to go visit him because he doesn't have any money. With Meghan, it's all about status, appearance, and money. Her father didn't have any of that to offer, so she ditched him. If she looks back on her past, she's going to realize she did use her father and her uncle when they were useful. They weren't enough to get her where she wanted to be, so that's why she needed the ginger idiot, and she has used him to promote herself. But these days it looks like Harry is slowly fading out of her orbit. I've also heard that the Invictus contestants are getting really upset about having their games being overshadowed by the Harry and Meghan show. I don't remember hearing even one participant's name. I don't remember hearing about any contest, just all the details of what Meghan Markle was wearing and what her hair was doing. I also heard there was a lot of criticism about Harry's speech at Whistler, where he talked mainly about how he and Meghan had overcome adversity to escape the royal family and move to California. Give me a break. Such a tone-deaf speech. And it didn't go down very well with the veterans. I mean, apparently the veterans don't want those two there anyway. They have just turned it into a self-promotion exercise. The British veterans are also absolutely appalled by their disrespect for the monarchy and the country they represented during their service and claim to still represent. The backlash is certainly increasing, but Harry claims that he's not going to be bothered by the critics. It doesn't take a genius to see that Harry has finally come to the point where he has suddenly developed a conscience, and he's got to find his way back into his father's heart. It seems that he's not interested anymore in writing any more memoirs, at least not right now, or using the writing skills of Scooby-Doo, because suddenly it sounds like Harry has found a new purpose in life. He wants to become a dutiful son to his ailing father. But I still haven't heard Harry publicly apologize about his very public accusations and humiliation of Catherine, especially now that she's recovering from abdominal surgery. So why is that? Could it be because Catherine is in no position to help him in pulling himself out of this mess that he and Meghan have created? It's a real shame, and it doesn't surprise us. I mean, Harry knows all about denial. I expect Meghan is now teaching him to say that it was his truth or he just misremembered something. At least we can rest in the knowledge that Harry and Meghan are going to be feeling some pressure right now. Instead of annoying his family, maybe Harry should be putting these peacemaking skills into the problems that his African Parks charity are facing, the rape, the beatings. This should keep him busy for a good long while, and it would make the spirit of his late mother proud if he could actually accomplish this feat. But he's not going to do that. Instead, Harry's going to be placing all his energy into pulling at the heartstrings of the king, because now the name of the game has changed. Now it's what Harry wants, Harry gets. Meghan, unfortunately for her, has been forced to take a back seat. And I'm sure Meghan's not very happy with Harry right now, because once again, Harry has been told where he can go in London. And all of that on top of having to change the last name of the children to Sussex. And let's be real about why that happened. That was just so that Meghan could claim that Sussex was their name. It's not. It's a title. That would be a lot like Charles filling out his tax form and entering King as a surname. Meghan is so ridiculous. Even Harry has to be looking around and wondering when this is all going to end. How much worse are things going to get? Are they just going to keep selling stories and grifting for the rest of their lives? It's not going to work. The deals are already running out. If Harry did somehow make a comeback, then I'm pretty sure the royal household would demand a news blackout. That would isolate Meghan and Harry and give them the privacy that they claim to yearn for. But it would also cut off the oxygen that feeds Meghan's narcissism, and certainly feed into Harry's victim narrative. I'm sure it's so difficult for Meghan not being the star, and I do wonder how the invisible children are doing. We haven't heard anything about what's happening with them during all this family drama, except, of course, when Harry and Meghan's names are mentioned and the children's names are also attached, even though we never get to see them. And you, do you know any more information? Let me know in the comments below. And please press the like button and share my video for everybody else to enjoy it right away. Besides that, please click the subscribe button for Kate Middleton and the Queen channel to not miss any updates. Thank you so much for watching, goodbye, and I'll be back to see you in the next videos.